Hello, and a very happy Sunday, December 10th to everybody. The last video that I recorded was the Monday or Tuesday following Thanksgiving. So it's been about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks since my last upload. Things have been a little wonky, to say the least. My daughter, my poor baby girl, like I mentioned in my last video, we had an issue with where she was defending herself against a group of bullies at school, and her defending herself resulted in the school deciding she needed ISR, or in-school removal punishment. And my husband and I had enough, so we went to the school the Monday following Thanksgiving, the Monday following the Thanksgiving break. And we had her transitioned from an in-person, like she physically had to be in the school to learn, student, to she is now virtual through the school district. So technically, she's still a Lyon County School District student. She just does all of her work virtually. And let me tell you, okay, since starting the virtual classes, so it hasn't even been a full 3 weeks yet. Since starting the virtual classes, she's passing everything with a B or higher. My daughter was actually failing because I don't know what this teacher's issue is, but she was actually failing. And if you guys are seeing a glare, I'm so sorry. I'm sitting in my car like I usually do to record videos, and the sun is just like wah in your face type of deal. So if you see a glare, that's what it is. That's nothing I can control. But she is doing so much better. She's actually on the AB honor roll, doing school from home virtually. So to all the people out there who say that virtual school is a joke and it doesn't work and you can't learn certain topics online, it is really all in how the student who is taking the courses is able to comprehend and take in the information they're learning. Because my daughter does better at home virtually than she does in person. So, she has been virtual. She's been a virtual Lyon County school student since the Monday following Thanksgiving break. I also mentioned that she was going to be going to the GI doctor because we thought she had GERD. So I took her to the GI doctor that Monday. So December, let's see, 8th, Friday, 7th, Thursday, Wednesday was the 6th. Tuesday, so December 4th. So I took her to the GI doctor on December 4th, and the doctor wanted to do an endoscopy to make sure that there wasn't anything more going on that may have been causing the reflux issues that my daughter has. So we scheduled that. She actually went in this past Friday, so December 8th. She went in. We had to be at the hospital by 6 o'clock for her endoscopy, which, if you don't know what an endoscopy is, it is basically an internal study of your esophagus and your digestive tract. They go in with a camera that's attached to a flexible tube, and they just make sure that things are okay. But of course, to do this, they put you under general anesthesia. So that meant that at midnight the night before, I had to basically have her go NPO, which means nothing per oral or nothing by mouth. And then when it came, they said that I could give her medication that morning, but she inherited my gag reflex when it comes to plain old water. So I just held off giving her medication until after we got home from the GI study and gave her medication and then let her go back to sleep. And she slept. Like, we got home from the GI study at about 10 a.m. She slept from 10 a.m. till about 8:30 that night. That's how anesthesia affects her body. We go back to the GI doctor on December 20th to find out, because the doctor did say that although there was no signs of GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease, there was some type of ulcer-causing bacteria, which, if you don't know what an ulcer is, it's basically where your stomach acid burns a hole where there shouldn't be one. So he took cultures, and he said when we come back on the 20th, we should know what type of bacteria we're working with and how to treat that. So, but at least the study is done. So the study is done. We go back to the doctor on December 20th to find out what we're working with, get on the right antibiotics to treat it, possibly have the omeprazole become a regular part of her routine, except it would be at a more frequent. So instead of taking it once a day like she currently is, we would up it to maybe twice a day. Excuse me, y'all, I have hiccups. And then on January 4th, she still has to go to the GYN. So we're still waiting to do that. And then I don't remember what day it is, but one of these days next week, it's either the 13th or the 14th, she's supposed to go and meet with like a counselor or like a therapist, somebody that she can talk to about her feelings and whatnot, because she does have a really hard time opening up to, especially her dad, about things that are going on. It's like almost like she's afraid to tell me or her dad that something is wrong or bugging her. And I don't know where it's coming from, and I don't want my daughter to be one of those ones that's afraid to tell mom and dad when something happened or is happening. So this is all of these appointments. It's not because I want attention. No, all of these appointments that we're taking her on are to get her situated to where, she can live a normal, productive life and things like that. So that's that. I really wasn't gonna bring up this topic because I don't know. YouTube doesn't tell you who views your videos. It just tells you when your videos have been watched. So I wasn't gonna bring this topic up. I wasn't going to bring this topic up because I don't know who watches my videos, but you know what? Screw it. This is my channel. I'm an adult. If they don't like what I have to say, screw them. My mother-in-law and her friend, who is actually the owner of this house that everybody's living in, are two very... what's the word? let's just say unique characters. The friend who owns the house has said to my mother-in-law, well, it's your house, you can do what you want with it, in terms of, decorating and changing things around and doing what you want outside to make it more homey and aesthetically pleasing. But I don't want to transfer any of the utilities or anything like that into your name. But you have to pay for everything. So that basically in and of itself says we can't go get, to get suitable, stable, reliable internet access out here, they would need to put a satellite dish or an antenna on the roof. They don't want to do that because technically we're renting the house. The house is in somebody else's name, even though the service would be in who's ever here, either my name, my husband's name, or my mother-in-law's name or her boyfriend's name. But because my mother-in-law technically doesn't own the house, they still need permission from the owner to put a satellite dish on the roof. And I know when my mother-in-law and my late father-in-law, who, oh my gosh, y'all, December 7th marked not only my grandmother on my dad's side, so my paternal grandmother, her 82nd birthday. She would have been 82 on December 7th. Well, also December 7th is the day that my father-in-law passed away. So he passed away December 7th, 2019. I thank my lucky stars every single day that he passed away before COVID. Because like I've said before, and like I've told everybody that I talked to regarding this, the isolation that everybody experienced during COVID, when quarantine first hit and they were locking down like nursing homes and things like that. And unless you were medical personnel, you couldn't go into physically go in. The isolation alone would have killed him. So I thank my lucky stars that he passed away prior to COVID even being a thing. Because he passed away December 7th, 2019. So he's been gone for 20, 21, 22, 24 years. He's been a guardian angel over our family for the past 4 years. And he will continue to be one. So there's that. Also on the loss front, my mom called me. So my mom, I don't know if I've talked about my mom in previous videos, but my mom and my stepdad own an alpaca farm in Woodstock, Illinois. You can actually look them up. They're called PS Alpacas out in Woodstock, Illinois. So she called me a couple of weeks ago. And usually how she'll preface these is she'll text me and say, call me when you get a minute, but make sure Buggy is not around. Buggy is the nickname that she and I use for my daughter. She's been Buggy to us since she was a baby. It actually her nickname started out as Cuddlebug because she liked to cuddle and always wanted to be held. So she started out as Cuddlebug and then it just got shortened to Buggy. So she texts me and she'll say, call me when you get the chance, but make sure Buggy is not around or make sure Buggy's not in earshot. So I called her back the first time and she told me that her cat, Chloe, had passed away. Chloe actually passed away a little bit I think it was just before Thanksgiving. So her cat Chloe passed away, and then about 2 weeks ago, I think, she again sent me a text message, said, call me when you get the chance, make sure Buggy's not around. I, of course, already knew because I saw it. They also have a Facebook page for their company, so I saw it on Facebook. Their llama, who was 20 years old, he was 20 years old. He unfortunately, sadly, passed away. So now they're just down to alpacas. They had alpacas and a llama. Well, now they just have alpacas and barn cats and dogs. Charlie was his name. Charlie Chan is actually his full given name. He passed away. Yeah, so little, sad news, but they were old animals. They had lived full lives. It was time to, their time had come. So now they're also up in heaven, running around, being happy, being free, and yeah, they're currently looking for another llama because, well, they were looking for a llama prior to him passing away solely because he's, like I said, he was getting up there in age. The older he gets, he was dealing with arthritis in his knees. He used to be one of those animals that is just so funny. I always enjoyed this when it was feeding time. You would go to feed the boys because, we keep the boys separate from the girls because the girls are always open for business unless they are currently pregnant and or nursing. And technically when they're nursing, they're still open for business. So we keep the boys separate from the girls. Well, when you would go to feed the boys, Charlie would do laps around his house while you were in the house putting the food in their feed buckets. And she had said, it's been, he hasn't really done that in about 6 months. So she would go out to feed, and she said he would just stand outside of his house and kind of peek his head in just to see what you were doing. But he would patiently wait outside of his house for you to finish filling the troughs. And so, yeah, we knew, things might be slowing down for him, and it was just a matter of time. But, he was, like I said, he was 20 years old. He'd lived a long, full, happy life. And so, sad news, but at least, he's not in pain, and Chloe is not in pain anymore. So there's that. Anyway, so on the bill front with my in-laws, or my mother-in-law and her friend. So none of the bills for anything here, like the major bills. So what I mean by that is we have electric, but the electric bill is in my mother-in-law's friend's name. We have water, but the water bill is in my mother-in-law's friend's name. To heat the house so that we don't all freeze to death, it runs on propane. Well, that bill is in my mother-in-law's friend's name, but we are the ones that have to pay everything. And she doesn't want to switch anything into my mother-in-law's name for fear that my mother-in-law might up and decide to not stay, okay? My mother-in-law does not have anywhere else that she can go. She doesn't have very good, if any, credit at all. And part of that is due to when my late father-in-law was alive. They did some pretty shady stuff with finances. I don't know all of how their credit got to the situation where it is now, but it is what it is. And so anyway, my mother-in-law basically doesn't have anywhere else to go because her credit history is so bad she can't afford to rent somewhere without having somebody else that has a stable income living with her. And as it stands right now, she gets survivor's benefits, either survivors or spouse. She draws off of my late father-in-law's, what he paid into Social Security. So she gets that every month, even though he's deceased. Because they were married for so many years. Her boyfriend is not working, and my brother-in-law Matthew is not working. Matthew is not working not because he can't, but because he is just lazy with a capital L. Like, to the point where he will not shower unless he is high on marijuana. And recreational marijuana is illegal in the state. It's illegal in the state of Kentucky for recreational purposes. And they don't... See, I'm debating whether or not I should even talk about this on here. But oh well. So... My brother-in-law, let's just say my brother-in-law won't take a shower unless he's high first. So he doesn't shower unless he's high. He won't clean his room. But yet likes to yell at my cats because my cats want to go in his room. Well, they want to go in your room because it's filthy. If you know anything about animals, they love pigsties and they love mess. That's why, you ever notice how when you clean, especially, cat parents, you ever notice how when you go to clean a space in your house and then your cat is going nuts because you're cleaning it? They like clutter and they like mess and they especially like stench. And that is what you get if you walk into my brother-in-law's bedroom, which you walk in the front door of the house and his bedroom is the first door on the right. Right as you walk in the door, it's the first door on the right. I bet my mother-in-law was just saying the other day how the area that is the living room and the area that is hers and her boyfriend's bedroom, those were actually added on to the house. The house it used to be smaller than what it currently is, which I can't fathom, because to me, as long as I've known about it, it's always been like it currently is, where there's 2 bedrooms off the living room, one on either side, and then the living room, and then that like I said, that dining room / hallway, and then the kitchen and the bathroom. Well, she said the bedroom and the living rooms were add-ons. There used to not be a living room and 2 extra bedrooms. It used to just be the kitchen, the bathroom, and then the 1 bedroom. So I was like, wow, okay. But yeah, so there's that. I've talked about my daughter's health. I've talked about her schooling. Talked about the issues with the house. Oh yeah, so because they, none of the bills are technically in anybody that's here name. I mean, yeah, there's bills that come to the house, but they're not in anybody's here. Usually it just says, the owner of the house is. I'm not going to disclose her name on here. I don't want to do that. But my mother-in-law, when they get the mail, if there's something for her in the mail, my mother-in-law will take it to her, because they've been friends for like 40 some years. I guess they grew up together or something like that. I'm not quite sure how it is that they became friends, but they've been friends for years. So much so that, like, I don't expect my daughter to do this. I've never expected my daughter to do this with any of, my friends or my husband's friends, but my mother-in-law expects my daughter to refer to her friend that she's known forever as aunt and then name. And I'm like, no, because technically, to be an aunt, you are the sister of the mom or the dad, or the grandma or the grandpa or whatever. You're the sister of a direct relative. There is no blood relation between my mother-in-law's friend and anybody in the family. You're a close friend of the family, yes, but you're not a blood relative or a spouse of a relative. Ergo, you are not technically an aunt, or not technically an aunt, and not entitled to that title to be referred to as such. It's like I always hated when my late brother-in-law, Jimmy, so his would-be girlfriend, or his girlfriend, or his would-be fiance, because according to my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law was planning to propose to this woman. She was referred to as Aunt name. Like I said, I'm not going to disclose her name, just who she was in relation to the family. So she was my late brother-in-law's girlfriend, who for like the longest time, even after my brother-in-law passed away, we still hung out with her. She still did things with the family. She would still come up and visit periodically, and I don't know what she's doing now, nor do I really care. She kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I don't care to associate with her. So I don't like that, they want my daughter to call this woman Aunt so-and-so, but it is what it is. So job front. So I said in my last video that I had 2 interviews prior to the holiday. One was on Tuesday and one was on Wednesday. Tuesday's interview was for that medical records clerk with Livingston Hospital. I still have not heard anything back from that interview yet. And Wednesday's interview was for a patient care technician with Fresenius Dialysis, or Fresenius Kidney Care, which is a dialysis clinic. And I guess they're so well known that they have several different locations nationwide. So I interviewed with them on Wednesday, so the day before Thanksgiving. I reached out in early December, like December 1st. I emailed the recruiter who actually reached out to me to schedule the interview and said, I would like some feedback. I haven't heard anything. Because I'm one of those applicants that when I go to an interview, I always request that I receive feedback either way. So I know that I didn't feel like I wasted my time. Like that, the dialysis clinic that I would have been that I interviewed for, had I gotten the job, was an hour away. It was 55 minutes from where I live in Catawba. It was in Murray. And I mapped it out from my house to the specific location. It was a 55-minute drive without traffic, and I would have had to be there by like 3:15 every morning that I was working. So like I said, I haven't had any feedback from them. I haven't had any feedback from the hospital yet. I do know that hospital and large facility interviews can take a little bit longer to get back to you. I have an interview tomorrow for a patient care coordinator. So kind of like more of the administrative stuff, but this one is at a physical therapy facility in Benton, which is about 26 minutes from here. So a lot closer than Murray, but still, I'm not I'm starting to get very discouraged. As most of you know, because I've talked about it on here before, but as you know, I have a physical disability. It's called cerebral palsy, and it does affect my gait. So what I think is happening is, yes, I'm going in there with this resume that says I have all these skills. And mind you, nothing on my resume is untruthful. My resume is as true and correct as I can possibly make it. But what I think is happening is that they are seeing me and my gait when I go in for the interviews, and they're making judgment calls based on that. They're not going off of the resume of, wow, this woman, not only did she spend 18 months in school learning the skills that we're looking for, but she also has prior experience as a caregiver and in retail. I have experience in physically demanding jobs within the healthcare industry. But I think what is happening is that these employers are seeing my gait and thinking, she can't do it. There's no way. Realistically, there's nothing I can't do. The only thing that I cannot do, and I know this for a fact, and it's not because I can't learn how to do it, it's that I'm choosing not to because I'm an epileptic. And the thing that I'm referring to choosing not to do is drive. I don't drive because I'm an epileptic, and I don't want to take the chance of the weather being so cold one day that I go into a seizure, or so hot one day that I go into a seizure behind the wheel. I know people, family members, in fact, that are epileptics that have had seizures behind the wheel, and they've actually lost their license for a certain amount of time because of the seizure they had behind the wheel. So, and because I can never predict when one is going to happen. I can tell when I'm getting a migraine and not really feeling good, but that doesn't always mean that migraine is going to result in a seizure. So, and I don't always have the aura beforehand. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's a shot in the dark crapshoot disorder. Because I don't always know when one is going to hit, if one is going to hit, and if one hits, how bad is it going to be? I don't know. So I think they're judging me based on my gait. And if that's the case, they're doing a really good job at saving themselves from an ADA lawsuit by not stating the actual reason why I didn't get the job. Because it's not that I'm not qualified to do the job, and it's not that I don't have the skills. It's they're choosing not to hire me because I have a disability. And it's not one that I can hide and that I can try to hide either. So, we'll see what happens with this one tomorrow. I will hop on tomorrow and I will update. But until then, we'll just have, it is what it is. Another thing, and this is going to be the final point that I talk about in this video. Sorry, y'all. I just washed my hair the other day, and so my scalp always gets like kind of itchy right after a wash. But the other thing, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video for today, and I'll say that, and here's why in a minute, is y'all know that I use the karaoke app StarMaker. Well, I want to start singing again, and not singing along to a karaoke track, because I don't own the rights to the music, so it's really hard for me to find background music that I can upload that YouTube won't flag and say, well, it's copyright. I mean, we all know what happened with the one video that I posted to Instagram of my daughter singing along to a Miranda Lambert song that was on a mixed CD that I made. The Instagram took it down because I didn't own the rights to the music. And it was copyright infringement. So I am going to start singing a cappella. It'll be different songs. There's a couple of videos up that I know of that are a cappella that are me singing. One of them I know is Yesterday by the Beatles. Another one is Scarlet Ribbons. I believe I have one that is Amazing Grace. And I think that's it. I'll have to go back in my video history and see what I've uploaded. But I definitely want to start that again because I love to sing. It's one of my passions. It makes me feel good. I did it a lot when I was in school. It was the one extracurricular that I could do where I knew I wasn't at risk of getting physically injured. So that's what I did in school. I was the choir nut. And then my little sister and my brother were the band geeks. My brother played trombone. My sister did either flute or clarinet. I think she did clarinet. And then my daughter, for a time being, was doing clarinet in school. But I am, and always have been, and always will be, the choir nut. So I'm going to start singing various songs a cappella. I'm not quite sure what I'll start with up again to do it, but that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys, you have a fantastic Sunday, or the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow after this interview, and I will give you an update as to how I think it went and give you all the deets. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.